welcome to Yarniesville. My name is Kim, also known as Yarning for a Smile, and welcome to my little corner of YouTube. I am excited to have you here. If you're a first-time viewer, thank you for checking out my channel. If you're a returning viewer, obviously, thank you so much for coming back and spending some time with me. Today, I actually want to do a little video, which is going to be part one of a series on how to use Ravelry. The first thing I think we need to ask ourselves is, what is Ravelry and why does a knitter and crocheter need it? Ravelry is a web-based community, somewhat like Facebook, but it's more forum-based. So if you're a child like me of the 80s or 90s, you grew up in a time where there wasn't really Facebook, but there was all kind of forums. And that is what Ravelry's main core and whole aesthetic is like. It's basically a forum group where you can go, you can buy patterns, chat with other knitters and crocheters, you can learn new techniques, you can just be in a community of people who have the same love of yarn as you. It is a really great way to keep all your books and magazines and your patterns and your yarn organized, as well as a great way to look for a pattern fit a specific kind of yarn. And there's a lot of information to go over, and when you first join Ravelry, there's not a lot of ways to know how to use it. It's kind of like just throws you in there and it's sink or swim. And a lot of people give up on it because they don't understand how to do the advanced search features to really make Ravelry work for you. And that's what I want to do. I want to make you feel so confident that you can go in there and find exactly what you're looking for at any time and let it really become a great tool in your tool belt as a crafter. Hope you stick around and enjoy the show.
Let's look into adding stash to your Ravelry stash feature. You would find that under your notebook and then stash. I keep every yarn that I own in here to make it easy to do searches, to match with patterns, and even when I'm out and about on vacation, I can see what I already own and I can look at new yarns to pair with yarns that I already own. So the easiest way I have found to add stash to your Ravelry is not by actually going through this and clicking add stash, because you can use this feature, but it involves a lot more work than simply going to the yarns tab and then typing in the yarn you have. So today I'm going to be adding a homespun house, and I just simply type that in and then it pulls up all 4 yarns. From here you can look and see which yarn you're adding. So I'm adding in some of her plump merino, so I click on it and you can see what I already have in my stash, and all you would do is click that in stash and then you can type in the colorway. So the colorway I'm adding is called gingerbread house, and you can see it automatically pops up. You can enter in the whole skein, but what I like to do is actually weigh it, because sometimes when you get yarn from indie dyers, it can be exact weight or it could be a little over, and sometimes it can be a little under. You know, you may be right at the recommended yardage and you would hate to not have enough. So before I enter this in, I always just weigh it, and I use a little kitchen scale, and I'll link a scale that I use down below in this video. And this one skein I have weighs 109 grams. So I'll just type that in and hit stash yarn. So this lets me know that I actually have 1.9 skeins because I have more than 100, which gives me a little bit more yardage. From here, I go to edit stash, and I usually put where I purchased it at, the date I purchased, and the amount paid. And the reason being is I can also print out a Excel document of my entire stash for insurance purposes. So I actually purchased this back in February, we'll say the 2nd. I really don't know what day I purchased it on. And then the amount I paid. If it has a dye lot, like if it's a commercial acrylic yarn, you can put the dye lot here, which is really nice. If you run out from the yarn and you lose the label, you can see what the dye lot was, so you can hopefully find some more of that dye lot. The tags I use for if I buy yarn from Eat Sleep Knit out of Georgia, I have knit alongs throughout the year, and if you use their yarn, you can earn badges for your group for the knit along. Type that in my stash feature and it'll pull up every yarn that I bought from Eat Sleep Knit. Another important feature of this is the stored in. If you're a person that uses bins to store your yarn, you can actually label your bins with numbers or letters or whatever you want to, and you can type that information in here. So when you go through your stash, it'll actually show you what bin it's in. So if I use bins and I use bin A, when I look through, I'll see that it's in bin A. If it is a hand spun, you can click there and you can click any notes here. So if I get it from a vacation trip or from a friend, I'll usually put a note just so I can have that memory attached to it always. And from there, you can just hit Save Stash. I like to add photos, so I'd hit Add Photo. And I've already have photos on my computer that I've uploaded, so I'll just get that picture, drag it, drop it, and it will go ahead and start putting it in there, and I can click Finish with Photos. So now I already have it in my system. Let's add another one, because I have another one I need to add. So I would actually just click this yarn right here. You could hit Stash More, but again, if you're wanting to weigh each individual skein like I like to have exact yardage, it's best to click the actual yarn name and then hit End Stash, because it's going to allow you to do that. It's going to go ahead and automatically figure out your yardage for you. So this colorway is called Home for the Holidays. So I would just type that in. I would weigh it. So this one is actually 110 grams. So it's definitely over, which gives me 1.1 skeins or 481.2 yards. Again, I would go to, you can do add photos first. So I'm just going to pull this photo over, drop it in. You can also click upload from computer. If you have it on Instagram, you can click that and pull it whichever way you want to do. Or you can use a stock photo from a website by clicking here and adding the URL. Now I'm going to edit my stash. Again, I purchased this sometime in February, the amount I paid, and this was all bought from a D-stash. And I'm just going to go and put that on this one. If you want to add a different colorway and not measure it, you can do that there, as effective as going through the top part so I can figure out the exact yardage, because that's very important to me. So that's just a basic way how to add stash to Ravelry. Again, a great thing to do, because when you go to do a pattern search and say I want to make this moon garden shawl and I want to add it to my queue, and when I add it to my queue, I can put it on my wish list if it's a paid for pattern, and then I can go ahead and connect yarn to it. So if I want to use yarn from my stash and I already have all my yarn in my stash with photos, I can click this and it's going to pull up every yarn in my stash that is the same weight as the pattern calls for. So I can go ahead and find a yarn. We'll say this Barocco we'll use, even though it's not enough yardage, we'll click it and it automatically attaches it to that project, so that when I save this and later on when I get ready to cast this on, I can go to my queue, and it was the last thing that I queued. I can hit start project, and you always just want to hit enter, because you change that name later on, and it'll go ahead and create not only the project page, but it'll go ahead and link the yarn for you, so you don't have to do it later on. And it goes ahead and puts exactly how much yardage you have of that yarn, so that when you go to finish it, you can figure out how much you have left after making the project. So that's just a basic way on how to use the stash feature. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down below. If you need any help with any other aspects of Ravelry, please let me know and I can make a video. Hope you have a great weekend and happy yarning.